Alrighty, so I figured I would go over the new monster and show you guys a little trick, and then I also figured that I would talk about a one of the new weapon abilities that came out a while ago, but is still available right now. And so we'll get into it. The weapon ability is great for guild battles, but we'll get to that. So one thing at a time. So first, I figured I would talk about the spawn. So Beowulf, by the way, a totally badass looking monster, hits three times. So okay, but is light. So keep in mind that light is very easy to build against. There are lots of great dark and star monsters. So the likelihood that you will kill somebody with something like light is very low. So just keep that in mind. Chipped Blade, especially with only 3 hits. Chipped Blade is great in some circumstances. So I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but it is great for specifically Colosseum. I can see that it could have places in guild battle. For example, if you come out of crystal and then there's a clash and they have chipped blade, but neither team gets fully wiped, then if the enemy team has chipped blade, then there's a potential that you can kill them and they can't kill you. But I would rather have something like Fortify, you know what I mean? Because Fortify just prevents your team from dying by reducing the damage to only 25% of your max HP. So there are better things. I just don't. I haven't decided if this is top tier, mid tier, or low tier. I'm putting it tentatively in between mid and high tier chipped blade. So that's my personal opinion on it. Now you get 180 buff as well as the limit for it. You get 1 instance of resistance to karma and buff removal, which is fantastic. There's not a lot of monsters that do that anymore. It is really annoying that monsters don't do that. But on the flip side, there are a lot of instances of effects that prevent this in the first place. So you don't need this. But as a single uni throw, it can be very nice. Barracks, so the best bubble, the absolute best bubble. Just as a reminder, things like Rage and Dawn and Serenity give you buffs. So for example, Dawn gives you 100% to your attack, magic attack, defense, magic defense. Those do not stack with bubbles. So these bubbles don't stack with that specific buff. However, for whatever reason, even though they don't stack, they do not do the same amount of damage output. A bubble will always increase your damage more than something like Dawn, even though they don't stack. And this has been, I've run the numbers, I've tested this many, many times. Bubbles always do more damage. And Barracks is the best bubble because it guarantees crits. It increases all of your stats like Dawn, and it just increases success value. A lot of damage is done. A lot of great moves require higher success value, and it's really annoying when you can't proc that. If you miss that proc, then it can be really annoying. So between those 3 things, it is the best bubble. So it increases your damage a lot. Savior element, also fantastic, but it's not a PvP thing, although it can be used highly effectively in stuff like guild battles and Colosseum, just because 120% is insane. But it is also a PvE thing. So it's a very interesting monster, honestly. And then it also applies grace, which is nice. It's just a nice kind of buff that prevents you from getting hit by status ailments and annoying things like cost reduction. He awakens in a 40k, which is like fingers in the back of the throat, want to throw up, kind of awful. As we can remember from the monsters that just came out, they were 60k. So you're missing not 20K, but 40K total because we're doubling it. Because this is two stats, you're talking about 80K versus 120K. Now you multiply that across 10 monsters, and that is 400K that you are down. So that is disgusting. Big ugh. Don't want to see it. Please fix. Scorch resistance. Really uncommon. You'll never see it in guild battles, and it is just so bizarre that most people don't run it. I love Scorch, but I don't think that it's common. So I'm going to rank that pretty bad as well. And water and light defense. I actually really like this. I think fire is in a really strong spot right now. However, fire statistically over time has been really bad. And the reason is because fire monsters don't buff very well. They're really excellent at killing, but they are atrocious with buffs. So we'll have to see how that shapes up. Of course, light is fantastic, so it is what it is. But overall, I'd say this monster is... we're going to take it best case scenario. If you are a free-to-play player, brand new to the game, you need one monster to fit both your PvE and PvP and guild battles, and you do damage, and you want to have like one monster to fit all of the boxes and you'll have fun with, this is the monster. So in that solo instance, this is like a 10 out of 10 monster. You can use it for at least the next year and it'll be pretty good in all the aspects. Now for an average player, for somebody who is more on the whaley side, for somebody who's been around for a while, this right here is like a 6 out of 10 because it doesn't do anything in any particular area excellently. It's not an excellent PvE monster. It's not an excellent PvP monster. It's not an excellent guild battle monster. It just does all of them pretty damn well, but not like, it doesn't fit a niche like, holy smokes, this is amazing because of XYZ in one position, which is what you're looking for at higher levels. So will I see this monster? Probably, just because it is awesome. The animation, they nailed it. It just looks fantastic. But is this a top tier monster? Is it meta defining? No. On the left, I have all the statistics. So when we do the breakdown, you can see in here, if I can click on it, there are 5 boxes. Actually, hang on, this number will change. There are 5 boxes. And so you are guaranteed to get something, one of the weapons or the monsters, or the defense gears probably. And then 500, 700, 800, 1,000, and 2 pretty garbage things. The weapons all have Valorous, which is okay. Honestly, not great in any way. They're not hard to stack, but the proc rate sucks. So I would not recommend. And when we take a look at the defense, it's like, ugh. It's better than Guardian, but man, is that just dreadful. Especially when compared to some of the new stuff. That is just atrocious. And that is unfortunate. And they're expensive too. So you need 10,000. So if we look at the exchange, you need 10,000 in order to get the monster, which is the only thing worth getting. And that will cost you, if you're on the unfair scale, that'll cost you about 721 gems. This is the spread right here of how many gems you'll need to spend on average. Keep in mind, I always recommend keeping 100 gems over the average. And the reason why is because you never want to be the guy with your dick in your hand and you're so close to the prize, but you don't have enough gems, so you have to spend money that you weren't expecting to spend on Unison League. Now the brilliant search thing is done, and I figured I would go over a little trick for the brilliant search gems. So let's say that you had an weapon like this bad boy. And this is all for 43 cost gear. It's 43 cost armors, 43 cost weapons, and monsters. This one is not fully awakened. So when I try to infuse it, notice in the top right, it does not give me the full stuff. But for those who are very acute, you'll recognize that at the bottom here, there is no infusion gem requirement. So if you remember from the Infusion Gems video that I made, those purple guys, the first one is very expensive. The second one is exceedingly expensive. And so overall, it is better to try and use these less expensive blue ones first because there is no gem cost. So take a look at this. I already have it set up. Boom. This guy's already infused once. And when I add this guy, no cost. And I just infused this for 3 gems. I can show it to you. If I was going to do it, it'd be something like this. You would just infuse for 3 gems, not that one, the other one over here. You'd infuse for 3 gems and then you'd toss in the other guy. So I figured I'd show you that as a nice little trick. And then I figured we'd talk about this spawn. This spawn is very similar to a lot of the other spawns. Keep in mind that these are 5 element. So they're 4 element, which is higher than average. The normal gear is 3 element. But some gear is 5 element. I thought this was 5, but it's 4 when ultra rare. And the Triumph gear is a fantastic proc. It probably is the best attack proc in the entire game. But it is very similar to these procs here, these new resolution procs. So keep that in mind. However, the one thing that I wanted to point out was that this specific weapon ability, Twilight Shadow Covenant, is potentially meta-defining when it comes to guild battles. And so let me go over an average scenario at the very beginning of guild battle. So at the very beginning, you have around 3 treasure hunters usually on a team, plus 2 other dudes. Now, treasure hunter has an interesting awakened ability. They can go in and into a guild battle, and they'll have more cost than most other classes. But most classes will have 10 cost, which means that the first thing that you do is gain cost. That is an EE ability, like a Ether Exchange ability. Everyone used to use Ether Exchange as a mage ability, but now we can all do it on our own. Each class is their own thing. This one recovers. It doesn't cost anything. It recovers cost, but it excludes yourself. So you might be thinking, okay, what's the point? Well, really on most teams, you only have 2 racers. You have one racer that's really, really fast and a backup racer in case the other one dies. And so what you want is at the very beginning of a battle, you want cost. So this, if you have 3 people that all use this, everyone on the entire team gains 20 cost, right? Because it doesn't apply to yourself, but you'll give it to everyone else. And the 2 treasure hunters that are racing, they're the most important people to have cost. They will both get 30 cost, which means that there's no reason they should ever be using Ether Exchange. They can just race. On top of that, it increases everyone's uni by 3. So not only are you guaranteeing that your racers are going to be able to race effectively because they have an additional 30 cost, they'll never run out of cost. But also on top of that, you're giving them a total, if 3 people use this, you're giving them a total of 9 uni at the very beginning of the game, and there's nothing that the enemy can do because this is the first ability, and it is not a slow ability. It's a pretty fast ability. Most of the classes like Lancer are going to have to use an ability before this one, in like Ether Exchange, in order to use an ability like Lions to slow something like this down. But this will go off before then. So I did want to mention it. I know it's annoying when Unison League releases potentially meta-defining things inside of a weapon ability. It kind of means that you require to have this, but it did come out on the Star Triumph gear. So it is likely that it will also come out later on some of the other Triumph gears, and the Triumph gears will probably come back. So if you missed it, or if you're worried about it, don't worry too much. It is good, but it is not, it has not been shown to be meta defining yet. Next GGT, next Guild Grand Tournament, we will hopefully not see this, but if it does happen, don't be too surprised because it is quite good. Now, I also wanted to talk just briefly about this defense gear because I did get some questions about it. What is the difference between physical and magical damage taken, and just physical damage taken or just magical damage taken? And is this a good proc? So, first of all, let me just answer it. No, this is not a good proc. Why is this not a good proc? Because it is a percentage. Why would you reduce the damage incoming by a percentage when you could almost reduce it to 0 using the new procs from something like this, which give me a second. But the main reason why it's not an excellent proc is because it doesn't have something like ability power reduction. So people don't understand quite how powerful ability power reduction is. It is beyond broken. Ability power reduction is the current defining defense stat, and you want the highest amount of it that you can get. And this one does the physical and magical damage taken part and has the ability power that you're looking for. This defense gear comparatively is garbaggio for if you're trying to survive. Now, if you're trying to get something like Uni, this is much better, but it has like decent damage reduction, and the proc rate is just like okay. I mean, it's pretty good. It's not XXL good, but it is pretty good. But the question is, do these stack, and why are they separate? My guess is, and this is a pure guess, I just want to be clear, I've been playing Unison League for 10 years, and I feel qualified to speak on a team's idiocy. And one of the things that they have been known to do is to use really bad translators and also to be very unclear to the global community. It is unclear right now if these stack or if they don't stack. I would be amazed if they didn't stack. It is also unclear if these apply differently. Again, I'm not a genius, but my guess is that the way that they originally coded was for just reducing physical damage and reducing magical damage by S+, because that was the first of this type of proc that ever came out. So my guess is that in their code, they just coded this hard coding as this is a proc that can happen. And then my guess is that they added this as another proc possibility that can happen. And instead of making these variable numbers, my guess is that they just use a click, like a check mark almost. They just use that line of code and they copy and paste a lot in A-Team. So my guess is that they literally just added these three on top of each other, and they all do the exact same thing, and it's literally just 12.5 plus 22.5, which, I mean, isn't bad, but it's also not excellent. So that's my guess as to why it's written like this. I think that in probably 6 to 10 months, we'll probably have a proc that no longer says something like this, and it'll just be XL plus, or maybe 2XL, something like that. That's my guess. But right now, this proc is garbage, so you don't really have to worry about it anyway. So that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. And I'm thinking about streaming either this Saturday or this Sunday for a Coliseum match. And I need to get the times for all the Colo stuff and then post it. But keep a lookout for that. If we can get a group together to run some Colo, I think that would be fun. And I also don't have a lot of things going on this weekend, which is also fantastic. So I'll be around. If you guys need anything, go ahead, message me as always, and I'll catch you guys later.